Well,
Mhm.
tonight we're going to talk about chicken, specifically like roasting chicken.
Chicken.
That's my favorite way to eat it. But I wanted to like, and I looked up because I was like, what makes it roasting? I mean, I kind of know, but I was curious to see what the like Dr. Google says. And it says like when you roast something, you're baking it dry on high heat, so usually over 400 degrees. And I was like, that's interesting. Because it's true. I mean, that's how I roast things, but I just never really thought about like what makes this roasted versus like baked. Um, and so I really like to roast my chicken, and the reason is because it typically will stay more, I know that a lot of people hate the word moist, but it will stay more moist on the inside. Uh, and it will get cooked fully, but it just stays more moist when you cook it at a high temp for less time than if you were to bake it like at 350 for longer. Um, High temperature is also really good when you're like searing things. I cook a lot of things at 350. If I'm baking, like doing the egg bake or, throwing a vegetable in the oven or whatever, a lot of times I'll do it at 350. But if I'm doing meat, it's always at a higher temp for less time. So one of my all-time favorite, I shared it on the Fitme page, but one of my all-time favorite ways to eat chicken is chicken thighs with their bone in and skin on, and roast them in the oven at 425 for about 40 minutes, until the skin gets crispy. And then I like to eat the skin. And it's almost like fried chicken. Like the skin gets really crispy and brown and like light and delicious. And then this week I like when it was done, I just kind of brushed a little bit of barbecue sauce over the skin. But my husband and I, one of our favorite meals is like roasted chicken with salt and pepper and rosemary. And then of course my famous roasted potatoes, and those are roasted too. I love to roast veggies. So this really is a combo call between like chicken, ways to cook chicken, and like roasting, and what you can do with different things when you're roasting them. Um, some other ways that I like to cook chicken are like I don't like to cook chicken breasts that often because they're too temperamental, in my opinion. Um, they dry out too easily. And my husband's really weird about like dry meat. So for me, I love chicken thighs, and the reason is because it's really hard to overcook them. So bone in or boneless, I love chicken thighs the most. They have a little bit higher fat, but again, they're just really easy to cook because it's really hard to dry them out. Um, I don't say you can't dry them out, but it's really hard. So I love to roast them when they're bone in, skin on. And that's a really, really good way to do a big meal prep super fast, because you just lay them out on a like a lined baking sheet. And I like to use the spray olive oil or brush it on, but it's a lot less labor intensive if you spray it on, and then just season it however. It will take on literally any flavoring. So any of your favorite flavors, you can mix that. You can flavor each pan different flavors so that you have like different flavors through the week. But I did literally like, I think it was like 3 cookie sheets full, and I think it was like 18 or 20 chicken thighs that I roasted the other night in less than an hour. So that's another benefit, in my opinion, to roasting, because you can do a lot at one time. Um, Another way that I really like to cook the boneless chicken thighs is in my cast iron skillet. And I'll put a little bit of oil in the pan. And then, hey, look, it's May. Got distracted by May coming on. May
Sorry.
just went on vacation. It's okay. I just got real excited. We're talking about chicken and roasting things. Um, and so my second way that I really like to cook chicken thighs, the boneless ones, I lay them flat. Like I lay the top part down first, get the skillet nice and hot. Um, and then probably like a medium high heat. and just a little bit of oil, not a lot because they have fat in them, so they're not going to really stick. And so I lay them all the way out flat, like stretch them out so that the smooth side is down first, and then I season the underside. And sometimes I'll put a big lid over it just so that it cooks even faster. But I wait until the part that is touching the cast iron skillet gets kind of brown and crispy, and then I flip it. And then I season the other side of it. Sometimes I'll put barbecue sauce on those as well. And just wait until they're all the way cooked through. But when you stretch them out flat, it doesn't take as long. It might take like, I don't know, 12 minutes total, like 6 minutes on each side, maybe. But I don't really test. I don't time it. I just go by like how brown it gets when you know the chicken is touching the pan. So those are my two favorite. And it's also if you have a big cast iron skillet, it's easy to cook a lot of the chicken thighs at once. I can cook like 6 of them in my skillet at one time. And so that's another really easy, delicious way. And I like when they get real crispy. And again, it's hard to dry those out because they have a high fat content. If I am cooking chicken breast, and this is something that I've been doing recently, I don't know if you guys saw my post on with the Greek chicken, where I'd like cut up the chicken breast into bite-sized pieces. That's my favorite way to do chicken breast. One, because it's easy and it's easy to cook them quickly. Because chicken breasts, like when you get them nowadays, they're like ginormous. Like, I mean, they're like this thick and it's crazy. Like, and I'm so skeeved out by like meat germs and salmonella, and like it really freaks me out. So I really will overcook chicken breasts more often than not. And it drives me crazy to like stick a meat thermometer in there and check it all the time. But I've also baked chicken breasts. And if you bake them at a higher temperature, like the 425 for half an hour, they'll often turn out really juicy, but you have to use your meat thermometer and make sure they're cooked all the way through. And I hate pounding them flat. Like that drives me crazy. So that's like another way to get them to cook evenly, but that's too labor intensive for me as far as like when I cook a lot at one time. That way I have leftovers to use for, meal prep and stuff. And so it annoys me. Like I try really hard to like cut the labor as much as possible. But I found that if I can cut them into like bite-sized chunks first and just do like the whole flat bite-sized chunks, chunk them in a big bag. Like I set the bags up on my counter and just fill the bags as I go. Pour a little bit of Greek dressing or whatever kind of marinade or whatever you like. You can do each bag a different flavor even. And then I just zip it up and squeeze all the air out of it. And then I let the chicken marinate at least overnight or throughout the day. But I actually have 3 bags that I lay them flat so they can stack on top of each other. And I stuck them in the freezer so that the boys, like when I didn't cook them right away, I stuck them in the freezer so that the boys can defrost them while I'm gone next week and then throw them in the skillet, and they don't take very long. Yes, and I put them in the cast iron again, and I just kind of throw them in there at medium to medium high heat with a little bit of oil, and I turn them when they get brown. And you can really tell when those little bites are cooked because they're just opaque, and it just takes a few minutes. It's really, really easy. And so taking the time to do that, to divide it up and put it in baggies and cut them into bite-sized pieces, makes the meal prep for that super easy. Like you take a bag out, throw it in the skillet, and then you have dinner in like 15 minutes. So that's another way that I like to do it. But I'd like to hear from you guys. Like, do you eat a lot of chicken? I don't eat a ton of chicken. I like to mix it up, but do you have any other favorite ways to cook it while I finish eating my cold dinner?
I cook chicken a lot, but I use my micro cooker that goes in the microwave, and basically it bakes it or roasts it. I don't know what it does to it, but it cooks it nice to where it doesn't dry out, and it's not rubbery in the microwave. It's a Pampered Chef thing. And so I just put my favorite seasoning. Usually it's a Right now it's Mrs. Dash spicy. Or I do a chipotle. Chipotle is like my favorite seasoning, and Jamaican jerk or something like that. And so I do that.
I like dark seasoning.
Yeah. And that's how I do my seasoning or my chicken.
Lauren, I don't know what your first suggestion was for chicken thighs. I usually do them in a little bit of butter. I'll put the butter in the pan, garlic, just throw the chicken breasts in. I mean, the chicken thighs in. I think, do I put anything else? Salt and pepper. Turn them over once, put the lid on it, 20 minutes. They're pretty much done. Oh,
That's
and then
awesome.
at the end, I throw a big handful of spinach in and
Mm.
put the lid back on, and then it steams the spinach down. So it ends up being like a one pot thing. And that's really good. I've done it where I've added broth, but the last few times I haven't even needed to. The chicken thighs seem to produce enough moisture that it isn't needed. And the other thing, and I always have a mixed result with chicken breasts. I'm going to try cutting them up first, but I was having good luck for a while of brining them first. Just put a big bowl of salt water and throw them in there for, they say, like 20 minutes or so, if you keep them out on your counter. If you want to put them in the fridge, you can put them in there for 2 or 3 hours, even overnight. And it just kind of makes them a little bit juicier. So that's all.
I had totally forgotten about brining.
You what?
I had totally forgotten about brining. I don't really think about it unless I'm doing like a turkey or something, but that's a really good point.
And you're right about the size of the chicken breasts. I mean, they're crazy big.
It's insane. Now, if you get organic or grass-fed, they're smaller. But this one time, a friend of mine picked up a chicken that had fallen off the chicken truck off the side of the road, and it couldn't even stand up straight. It was dragging its chest on the ground because it was a breast meat chicken, I guess. And they couldn't even it couldn't even stand up straight. It was so heavy. It was crazy.
Yeah, where we used to live is like the chicken capital, I think, of the country, between Purdue and Mount Air Chicken. They're both, well, Purdue is centered where we used to live. But yeah, there was nothing worse than a chicken truck going over. Nothing worse.
Mm-hmm. It stinks. We have a lot of chicken houses here.
Do you?
If you get downwind of them, ugh, that's awful. Molly Tomlinson is a chicken farmer. Her family farms chickens.
Yeah, we're from the same place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her husband works for Mount Air.
That's cool. Yeah.
We just have cows.
Cows. We have cows too.
Cows. Wisconsin cows.
Coach Sam is a cattle farmer.
Cheese curds, yes.
Yeah.
First time I had cheese curds was driving across country, and we were going through Wisconsin or somewhere up there. And it was like, yeah, I mean, I'm from Michigan, but we didn't have them there.
That's funny. I don't know. We're known for rice. We're like the rice capital, I think. I have a friend who's a rice farmer.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember. I think Riceland rice is here. But we're like, I don't want to accidentally lie, but I think we're like the rice capital of the world even, or like at least the United States.
Wow. Didn't know that.
But I think when I learned that, I was very shocked. And so it kind of stuck in my brain.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. Google it. It's kind of weird. We're the natural state. But we also have like the most dangerous city in the one of the top 10 at least most dangerous cities, and I actually live in that city, but I live in like the country of that city. It's not in the city. But yeah, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Look that up.
How Arkansas became the rice capital of the United States.
There we go.
There you
See, at
have
least
it.
United States. See, I'm not a liar.
Well, we didn't think you were lying. We thought you might be hallucinating, but
I was misremembering.
not. That's all right. I grew up in Dearborn, Michigan, and if you know anything about the automotive industry, that's where Ford Motor Company is headquartered. I was in high school before I realized, or I found out, that Ford was not the largest automaker in the world.
Oh, really?
General Motors, and because the world in Dearborn revolved around Ford. So
right.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. So
Yep.
Yeah. I like rice. Rice is good. Rice is a good healthy carb too. So we've got roasting chicken, we've got sauteing chicken, we've got skillet chicken. May, your skillet chicken reminded me of this chicken that I used to make called Tuscan chicken. I haven't made it in a really long time, but it's actually super healthy. And you like put the chicken breasts, you cut them like in half so that they're thinner. And I guess that's another way you could do chicken breasts. Like you could cut them long ways. And then cook them in the skillet. And then you add a big can of tomatoes and like Italian seasonings, and like literally could do an entire bag of spinach on top of that, and then cover it and let it cook down and let it simmer for a little while until the spinach is all wilted and the tomatoes are simmering. And then you kind of like move the spinach out of the way and find the chicken and put fresh mozzarella on top of all the pieces of chicken, and then cover it again until the mozzarella melts. It's very good. So that would be another good way, but really similar to what May was saying about.
So just a can of tomatoes.
Mm-hmm. Like a big, I usually get Hunt low sodium. But yeah, you like the one that's like 28 ounces or something.
Huh.
And pour that, like the diced ones, and pour that over. It's very good. It's really light too, and it goes well with like if you, I know if you have like gluten-free pasta or regular pasta, if you're not gluten-free, like the angel hair kind.
Since you burned me on pasta, I've never eaten it since.
Oh no, eat pasta. It's okay.
One time.
It's just a Fitme inspired plate.
I know, but I am now pasta leery.
I'm sorry.
Leery.
One of my Nazi. I used to be the plate Nazi.
The plate Nazi.
I was. I had to stop calling myself that when we got a bunch of new people because they didn't know it was like a joke.
Yeah, like, I think y'all are being pretty generous about some of those plates right now.
Yeah.
I know.
I have had to like step back because I get like, I start being the Nazi again, and then I'm like, I can't, this is not who I could be.
When they're just
every once in a while I get called in, somebody will tag me and be like, Lauren, what do you think? And I'm like, But yeah, there's a lot of inspired plates, and that's totally fine. Like, it's okay to have, like, they're still healthy. We don't have to be like officially 100% Fitme plate in order to eat whatever it is. So it's just a fun challenge. But yeah, those are my favorite ways to eat chicken. Also, I like the leg quarters, and those are good for roasting too. And whole chickens are actually surprisingly affordable. You can get like a whole chicken for $6 or something like that.
Yeah, but then you gotta cut it up.
Then you gotta cut it up.
I wouldn't know how to cut it up.
You have to cut it off the bone.
No, then you throw it in the crock pot whole. You just
I roast it whole
and throw it in the crock pot, fill it up with water, throw in some celery and some onion, and let that sucker cook down for a few hours. And then pull it out, pull the meat off, throw in some rice, let it cook again, and you're done. Delicious.
Yeah, I use the pressure cooker too, and that's how I make my chicken soup. And then also after you like if you roast the chicken whole, I roasted at 425, and I actually rub butter on it when I roast it, and then salt and pepper and rosemary or whatever. That's my favorite combo for chicken. I love rosemary. And once you roast it, and the chicken and the thigh is where you test the temperature. The thigh is 165. Then you can take it out and let it rest. And once you get all of the, like when you cut all your meat off of it, you can take that carcass and make bone broth out of it too. So that's another really good use of like the whole chicken. And you can do that in the crock pot too. I bet you didn't know that. I like to do it on the stove when I'm going to be home a lot. And then I just turn it off at night and keep the lid on it so that it kind of seals itself to keep it from getting like germs and stuff. But I like to cook it for a couple days on top of the stove, but you can also do it in the crock pot. Bone broth, that is.
Bone
Yes.
broth, yes.
And bone broth is really good for you. It's really good. Like when you get sick, I keep it in the freezer. Like I make a big batch and I put it in mason jars and freeze it. And that way, when I get sick, I can just take it out and defrost it. And I have like a really good quality bone broth.
I've never made a soup, I don't think.
Have you not?
Nope. Chili, but I've never made soup.
I only make it when it's cold. It has to be like a certain temperature before I make soup.
Well, yeah. It's gotta be, in the 30s or 40s. But
Natika and Isla, do you have any favorite chicken recipes? We're talking chicken. Or not recipe, but way you cook it.
Chicken on the grill.
I don't like chicken
On
all
the
that
grill?
much. I'm more of a
You don't
beef cooker. I don't like
Okay.
chicken.
I like
My-
your haircut.
Oh, thank you. My brother in the past 3 weeks, he's been making chicken soup because we're growing a lot of vegetables. So he's been making chicken soup and I'm sorry, the smell just nauseates me. So.
Yeah, you don't have to eat chicken. I just know that it gets like when people think about being healthy, they think about chicken, but there's so many other meats that you could be doing. But there's also a lot of ways to cook chicken so that it tastes really good too.
I like,
'Cause I get bored.
my mom used to make us albondiga soup. And so, but she made out of ground beef, but my brother and I make it out of ground turkey. And that's just
okay.
like my favorite. When I'm feeling sick, I ask him to make that for me. So that's like my go-to
That's
soup when
cool.
I'm not feeling well.
You'll have
I
to
eat
share that recipe. Say that again, Natika.
I eat chicken every week.
Every week.
So if we're doing it on the grill, if it's a big breast, we cut it in half and cook it. We usually marinate it for a couple of hours with Italian dressing, salad dressing. I'll cut it up in strips, not chunks, and I'll cook it like taco meat. And we do fajitas or salad. I stuff it for the breast. They're good if you stuff them.
What do you stuff
So-
them with?
Spinach, sun-dried tomatoes, cheese. Tie them up and cook them both sides, just in a pan sear them. That's really yummy. I fry it every now and then. I don't do a lot of thighs because my husband doesn't. He likes nasty, dry ass chicken breast. He doesn't like the fat in the thighs. So,
so I had to turn to see if my husband's door was closed because he won't eat any chicken with the bone in it. So I have to
Really?
buy it. Yeah. It grosses him out. He can't handle it. I'm like, you're a man and you won't eat bone-in chicken. It just creeps him
That's so
out.
funny.
I hate skin. I don't like skin.
Even when
Depends
it's
how it's
crispy.
fixed.
If you're gonna put barbecue sauce on it, I want it on the meat.
Okay, that's fair.
I want
Do you
meat.
skin it? Do you buy it with bone in and then take the skin off? Or do you always buy boneless?
I'll buy it with the bone in and I'll take the skin off.
Okay. I try to handle the meat as little as possible because it just really freaks me out. I like the germs. I just can't with meat germs. It just really freaks me out.
One of the best recipes that I got, I was really into Pampered Chef when I lived in Iowa. And so I got their deep covered baker. And they had the easiest recipe for chicken fajitas ever. And it's just you slice up an onion, a green pepper, a red pepper, or a yellow pepper, whatever kind of peppers that you like. And then put in the boneless, skinless chicken tenderloins and put their seasoning on it, and you throw it in the microwave for 15 minutes and it cooks it perfect. Then I get my little salad shears out and cut it up, and it's fajitas, and sometimes we serve it over pasta. Otherwise we serve it in the shell. So
That
also-
is really interesting.
yeah, it's so easy, and it's 10, it takes just as long to prep it as it does to throw it in the microwave and cook it. And it's not the rubbery microwave because it's in that, porcelain deep covered baker. So it bakes it and cooks it. So it's perfect every time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I've never cooked raw meat in a microwave before. I know that's so weird.
I do all the time only but I have to use those two things, the micro cooker or the deep covered baker, because if you cook it in anything else, it gets rubbery. It's gross.
Yeah,
So
that's really interesting though.
yeah.
I have a Pampered Chef egg cooker. I used to use it at work all the time to make my scrambled eggs in the microwave.
I have Pampered Chef like everything.
What did you say, Natika?
I have a macaroni and cheese Pampered Chef dish.
Is it a microwave one?
Yeah,
That's
where you
cool.
just put the cheese and some milk, salt, and pepper. Stir it up, boom, it makes you cheesy mac and cheese. I bought it for my kids because I refused to. They were wanting that microwavable stuff, and I was like, look at all this junk in it. Because of Fitme, looked at the daggone label, and I was like, no, mac and cheese. If you want it, you'll make it. So,
That's funny. That's cool though. I'll have to look into that.
pretty yummy. It's really tasty, and it doesn't have any junk in it. You know exactly what's in it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The pulled barbecue chicken. I do mine in a crock pot.
Mm-hmm.
And it has.
Oh yeah, that's another thing I would do all the time is throw like a whole flat of chicken thighs in the crock pot and then just put them on overnight and then shred them up and put them in baggies and then freeze them, or have like a serving that I could toss on top of a salad or whatever. And there's another recipe, it's like cracked chicken, and I think it was chicken breasts, a stick of cream cheese and some Frank's Red Hot sauce and a packet of ranch, and then it's shredded, and it's like creamy cheesy chicken. Is really good. Huh?
Buffalo chicken dip. That's another way.
Kind of, yeah. It was like
Crab
more chickeny than dippy, but it has that same flavor. But yeah, all right, let me take a beautiful picture before May bails on us because we're talking about pasta too much. I'm just teasing May. I hope you had an amazing vacation. All right, let me see your smiling faces. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Awesome. You did have an amazing vacation. Did you eat chicken while you were on vacation?
I did actually. Okay, so if you subtracted, okay, I did have dessert. I mean, we were on a cruise ship, but because
Yeah.
I have celiac, you know, you can't just go like hog wild. I think basically almost every meal I ate was a Fitme plate if you didn't count dessert. I mean, I had, and even with the desserts, they're kind of like low key because I can't eat cake and I can't eat all that stuff. So, if it hadn't been for the amount of alcohol I consumed, I probably would have lost weight. I'm
But
not
hey,
kidding.
it was vacation. You never get to do that. That was really
know, and
special.
we had a blast, so it was great.
That's good. I'm so glad. That's
Alaska
good to see your
is
face.
Alaska is worth going to see.
You went to Alaska. Oh,
Took a cruise. I'm Christy's mom, and we live in outside of Seattle. So yeah, I got the cruise ship an hour from my house, and it was 7 nights, and it was wonderful. I went by
oh,
myself.
how beautiful.
The cruise ship is the best way to see Alaska.
I really liked it. There wasn't enough time though. I
Yeah.
mean, either I could do like a nature excursion or a cultural excursion. And I usually chose the nature ones, but I feel like I didn't get to see enough of the indigenous people and just to get more of a, on land picture. But I did see lots of whales.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Wow.
cool.
Yeah. Well worth doing. Put that on your list, ladies.
I miss Alaska.
What?
Been.
I miss Alaska. I lived there for about 4.5 years.
Oh, really?
Did
That's
you?
so cool.
Yeah.
Which part?
I lived in Anchorage though, so it was very.
Military?
No, I was just there for school.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We didn't get to go to Anchorage. We went to Sitka, I see
Beautiful.
Straight Point, Ketchikan, and Juneau.
Nice, yeah.
But I'd like to go back. I'd go back tomorrow. I really
I'll go
would.
with you next time, May.
All right.
All right, let me
Gotta
know.
drink Fireball.
Okay.
All right. I'll see you later.
Bye, y'all. Have a great rest of your night. I can't wait to see some of you in Maryland. We'll see you next week. Bye.